All right, welcome to another edition of Superkickin with Stephen and Greg, your favorite two hosts. Right here, Stephen A. 1181 on Twitter. You can follow me there. The Wiz, Greg over there. We are rocking and rolling towards WrestleMania. We got AEW Dynasty tonight. Some interesting matchups to look forward to tonight. WrestleMania took a little turn with the news of Kevin Owens not being able to make it, so we'll definitely hit that up. Quite the back and forth between Charlotte and Tiffany, which got a lot of talk. Definitely going to be interested to hear that. And of course, John Cena has been rolling as a heel, so plenty to talk up. Greg, how's your week been? Anything good for the weekend?
It's been a busy week, but it's a good thing. I'm trying to stockpile hours and vacations at the end of the month. So I'll be in Asia again by the last week of the month, but not doing like I did last year, and be sitting in Japan, not able to watch WrestleMania this year. I'm going the week after.
Yeah.
So no worries there, but just busy. Just want to be able to be high on the horse when I get out to Asia. We're already cheap enough already, but never hurts to have that extra cheese in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, this month is pretty busy with WrestleMania happening. The Squared Circle Expo will be happening in the week after WrestleMania. They originally scheduled it that weekend, and then realized that was happening. So a later WrestleMania, later Easter weekend as well. We got the national championship tomorrow for the men's basketball, Greg, and I'm sitting pretty, of course, in a pool that means nothing, but that's okay. I had the Cougs going all the way, and I had Florida. I kind of went chalk with my picks, and 97th percentile, Greg. So the 1 year we were not doing it for anything, and I get possibly a win. But anyway, so yeah, my Pacers looking pretty. Your Suns, are they still rolling in the play-in tournament? Or have you
No, they were rolling, and then they took an L in Boston, and that set the spiral going downward again.
Okay.
So I think they've lost 2 in a row, and they are right there on. It's coming down to the wire.
Like at the cusp.
So they're 50-50 of getting in or not making it. So we'll see how these last couple games go, but they're on death's door, almost. So,
but then
and Kevin Durant's out, so that doesn't help at all either.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
But man, you look at 3 through 8, Greg, and anybody could kind of move up with a couple wins here and there. So, my Pacers right now, we are sitting pretty at 4th. We got the Bucks in 5th, Pistons in 6th. So we're all kind of vying. We're 3 games clear of the Bucks. So that's a good thing. And I think I think we got to get 3 wins and clinch that 4th spot. So another matchup with the Bucks. I'll take a matchup with the Bucks or Pistons. I think both series would be intriguing. So I think it just kind of sucks because we'd be in that top half of the bracket, Craig. So probably could get the Cavs in the next round if the Cavs, take care of business, which, I mean, that's all they've been doing. So Cavs and Thunder, they've just been rolling. I mean, but, you can't count out the Celtics either. So it should be kind of an interesting time. But we are here to talk wrestling. So let's talk that up. Probably no big surprise here, Greg. Miro reportedly sides with WWE. No word on Lana yet, CJ, Perry, but the big thing I think will be, how is Miro / Rusev presented, Greg? Are they going to let him kind of be this killer, or try to recreate? Big Ben's back in there. Sorry. Yeah, Big Ben, we were finally here. We tried to go Saturday or Sunday. Sorry. Wish we had better contact with you. But thank you for being here, Big Ben.
What's up, Ben?
Be in touch. So I guess it's going to be interesting to see. We got Aleister Black, I guess, back, next week or soonish, Greg, now that the teasers have been going for him. You got Ray Phoenix catching fire already, 1 week out on SmackDown, Greg. So Miro, I hope, gets a good shot, but you just wonder, where does he go? Um, does he show the killer kind of, killer heel? Probably, I guess I'd probably rather him go to Raw just because, guys are kind of back on SmackDown and showing up on SmackDown. But any
Mhm.
quick thoughts on Miro signing Greg?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's awesome news. He's been, you know, MIA from AEW TV for a long time,
Hmm.
and I was loving the way they were presenting him.
Yeah.
The promos were awesome, um, and his matches were great.
Hmm.
They just didn't have anything for him, and it's beyond me why they couldn't find something to do with, the guy who was, so good, and those Redeemer promos and matches were just amazing. I mean, shout out to him and Hobbs for the meat match.
Hmm.
First and ever match I've ever seen where the whole crowd was chanting meat the whole time. So, and that was a banger of a match. So, that's his, capstone for me as far as like the best match he had
Hmm.
in AEW. Um, and I'm hoping that he took those matches, the ones he did have, showed those Triple H. And, I think Triple H already knows how good he is and what he can do, and he's going to present him even better. So, but his promo work went up levels while he was in AEW. So hopefully he brings that over and, fresh start. And like I said, put him on Raw where you need more heels. And I think there's too many baby faces anyway. But I'm excited for him to get there. Like I said, I met him in the airport uh, last year.
Hmm.
Very cool guy. So, hope all the best for him. And I would bet that Lana comes with him. He seems to like having, the guys there with their women.
And they're back
And
back together, reconciled
right,
after 2 years or so, a year or so. So yeah, you would
exactly.
imagine. I guess I just don't know what she's trying to do because you just don't hear much about her, other than little snippets here and there of her showing up at a press junket or a media. She loves doing red carpets, Greg. I feel like you see her show up there, but and of course she wasn't. I guess she was in one of the Pitch Perfects. I forget which one she was in, but I guess she was. She's got a little acting career, but I assume she still wants to do the manager / wrestler thing, but
Yeah,
just trying to find that right mix. So, and then, we can't. His TNT run was pretty solid, so yeah. Hopefully, he gets a good shake back in WWE. I would think after WrestleMania, you probably
yeah,
start teasing him. I wouldn't do it the next couple weeks because, like we said, you kind of got Mania. Well, we thought we had Mania plans except for Orton now, Greg, but we'll get into that during SmackDown. The other guy, what about this little snippet that came up? So Karrion Kross's contract is up. Um, I just don't know, Greg. I think it's happy trails at the end of this year or whenever he's done, right?
I think so. I mean, I wanted to like him, get behind him. I've been watching him since Lucha Underground, and it's all the potential in the world, but he hasn't done anything with it. I see what he's done with, trying to recreate himself. And,
Hmm.
I blame Vince for part of it, for after he came up from
Yeah, he
NXT
did
for
the weird,
completely destroying his whole image, his whole vibe
and I think
with
that just
the
turned people off, and he hasn't been able to recover.
exactly. And um, give Triple H credit for trying to let him, you know, figure it out for himself and, go at the click route, with Final Judge, Final Testament, and then um,
And
try to
all
be
those guys
the
are gone.
exactly, and then try to be like the devil on AJ Styles' shoulder.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's clicking. So I agree. I think he's going to be gone, and he can resurface in TNA or something like that and be WWE adjacent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess that's what I do like, people bringing up the little details of him, like you said, being that guilty conscience and showing the same look, like his hairstyle has been the same as the person he's targeting.
Right.
But the thing is, what it hasn't led to anything. It's just like he just shows up on, and you got a nice little pop Monday when they cut to him doing like a small interview, kind of. I think it was in the commercial break time, Greg. Just saying, hey, who's your favorite heel? And and people kind of cheered him, but then he brought up AJ Styles type deal. So, yeah, I mean, I thought you could have done him and Sammy maybe for WrestleMania. I mean, they were kind of going back and forth. I thought that could have been a nice way to do it, but he's not doing it. He's just there.
Yeah.
So, there might be rumors that he might have signed a year deal. So maybe he's got another year to kind of work things out, Greg. But I just don't see him and Scarlett sticking around much longer. If the contract is what it is. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the news and notes for the week. Let's get into some Raw stuff. Cody Rhodes finally got a little promo battle with Cena and got the last laugh. And I thought Cody held his own, Greg. I really do. I think, the "you can't wrestle," he said that's the line that everybody kind of like, ooh, like, and even Cena, I think, has to think he's proved himself a few times, Greg. The CM
Mhm.
Punk random Monday Night Raw match they had years ago, his U.S. Open challenge. But he still has that little blip that I think people think, he can't wrestle. So I guess I'll be interested to see if they do show us some graps, as the UK crowd likes to call it, Greg, come WrestleMania. But a lot of good back and forth, and Cody getting the last laugh does make you wonder, if because if Cena, the rumor is Cena's not going to be on TV the next couple weeks, which pretty much sucks because you need him, I would think, for the go home show,
Mhm.
unless you finally bring out the other guy that has a big hand in this, Greg, which we've not heard from, we've not heard about. What's The Rock doing? So, the Rock definitely teased it, Greg, because he was showing London, UK tagged as whatever he was doing the past week. But I'm thinking on Instagram you could tag anywhere, so that could just be a little tease of that. So I thought a really solid back and forth, and like I said, I think Cody might have got the better end of it this week. So, what have you been thinking about the promo battles? I know we haven't been able to talk much for it. So,
Mhm.
what are you thinking?
Well, first of all, before I get into that, I am so glad that they are out of Europe and back in the U.S. Uh, because I kind of feel what CM Punk was talking about last night, that um, I got sick of listening to the Europe crowds hijack the shows. They're there's two guys in the ring trying to do a serious promo, and they're just singing the name of whoever's in the ring.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I
you
get
know,
that.
it's cute at first, and then you're like, okay, shut up, because I want to hear this.
Yeah,
And that's their reputation, though. That's what they do. They're in all the soccer matches this is going on, and all the sports over there. That's what they do. But when we go over there and are trying to do a story-based show, and the guys are there trying to get the story across, and nobody can't, or they can't hear each other because they're just chanting and singing at the top of their lungs, and it's cool for crowd participation, but know when to be quiet.
hmm
And obviously they don't know when to be quiet. They got annoying for me halfway through the European tour and all the shows they did over there in Europe. Good energy, but know the time, be good fans, and let the story be told. So I'm very happy that they're back in the U.S. But Chicago, don't try to be Europe and do the same thing. Um, they brought the singing the entrance songs from the European crowd,
yeah,
and now I hope they're not trying to do the same thing and singing the wrestlers' names repeatedly like they did in Europe over here. Leave that in Europe, please. So that, um, But getting back to the promo now, so I had to get that little gripe off my
Tell us how
chest
you
first.
really feel about Europe, Greg. No.
So the promo. This was a fire promo. It was so good. Both of them got some good digs in.
Yeah.
And John Cena was speaking some truth. Talking about building empires for billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody just stealing from the kids. That was a strong line. At the same time, when Cody came back with, the fans chose me, but one guy sitting in an office that we don't talk about chose you. And again, there's another truth bomb from the other way. So, as we always said, the best promos come from real life and how they mix in, and just spouting fact about the other guy that, when you hit him with it, like, well, can't deny that. That's true. And everybody knows it. So there was some good back and forth singers in there, but you could feel the heat between the two of them rising and rising every time another one started speaking. So it was awesome, and I think it was a dead heat right up until that last line, like you said, when Cody told John Cena he couldn't wrestle, or the fans chanted he couldn't wrestle, and they've never done that to him. So very authentic, very strong, and that's one of those you want to rewatch it again because it was so good, and appreciate it some more. So I'll give it to Cody by a little bit because John Cena was hitting them with some good ones.
Yeah.
But that's one of those you sit on the edge of your seat ready for what's going to happen. So and they over delivered in my opinion.
Well, in the I don't bury talent, I bury mediocrity. Wade Barrett had a nice tweet back to that, because obviously Wade Barrett knows all about dealing with John Cena. The Nexus and John Cena and the SummerSlam match where Cena kind of took things into his own hand. I think that was him, Jericho, and Edge, or versus like Nexus, whoever else was there. But Cena, kind of said, "Hey, we should win this," but really the Nexus. But that goes that in. So yeah, and I guess, like I said, I think we need The Rock involved though, don't we? I mean, are we going to leave The Rock out of this until WrestleMania, Greg?
No, I still don't believe that The Rock is done with his part. He's gonna figure into this in a big way, I think.
I mean, he
And
has
before
to, right?
WrestleMania.
Because that's the whole point. I mean, Cena really hasn't explained why he joined up with The Rock. Like that still hasn't really, been made true. So, New Day picked up a huge win. It looks like they're heading towards a WrestleMania tag team match, Greg, with Viking Raiders or War Raiders. Sorry. Nice to see Tyler Bate back. It looks like they'll put him and Pete Dunne back together. But our New Day War Raiders at WrestleMania, we down for that?
Yeah, down for that.
They probably need to win, right? I mean, we need to do something with the New Day.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the Viking Raiders or War Raiders, now get used to it. War Raiders have been, they kind of got the title for, their perseverance and getting through all the things and, getting a little bit of shine, but they haven't really shined in that aspect with the titles. So I think it's going to be better on the New Day. So,
finally, Greg, Gunther, we can finally say he did exactly what we need him to do, right? He took out Jimmy, starts the zip tie Jay to the ring, takes out Jimmy, bloodies up Jimmy, wipes the blood on him. This is the Gunther we've needed, probably since the start of this feud, right? This is the Gunther we've really needed. So this gets you really hyped, and it makes you really want Jay to beat Gunther now. This is what we needed. So.
Yeah, I mean, this I saw from a mile away because this was the I call it compared to Rocky IV.
Yeah, that's what you
where the Russian kills Apollo Creed in the ring. knowing that's Rocky's best friend,
Mhm.
and that's the motivation Rocky needs to beat him in the end. And this is the parallel to that, where Jimmy stands up for Jay, saying, "I'm going to show you that this guy is mortal and
Yep.
can be beat," and goes in there and Gunther essentially kills Jimmy, uh,
Mhm.
bloodies him up, wipes him out, and leaves Jay, handcuffed to the corner and can't do anything about it, and watching him just decimate his brother, his literal brother. So now, with him eliminating Jimmy completely, now he has to take vengeance for his brother
Mhm.
and wrap that in his own desire for winning the championship. And that's going to be what's propelling him to get the win at WrestleMania, because something had to happen to squash all that doubt he was having
Yeah.
and
Well,
the
I'll say,
yips that he was having.
I was just saying they played into it. Like, the last week he started to trip, and a lot of people brought up that was on purpose. Obviously, the
Yeah.
first week when he, kind of tripped over the ropes, Greg, that was not on purpose. But hey, like you said, Triple H has an eye for those things, and why not feed into it? Mandy Rose is probably thinking, "Damn, I should have been bigger, Greg," because remember she did her little art or Titus O'Neil. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so now we got now we're all in. I guess people are still saying Gunther should win at Mania, Greg, but yeah, it just he can't retain after all this. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
agree. But that was a
Penta's,
great segment. I enjoyed watching that a lot because,
yeah,
now that got the story where it needs to be
exactly.
with 2 weeks to go. So,
Yeah,
it's perfect timing.
like now you can kind of lay off it, let it simmer, and then have heat it back up the week before or something. So,
Yeah. Don't
yeah,
even put Gunther on next week's show. Just let Jay come out and cut that fire promo
yeah,
and
that's what
show the
yeah.
fire.
Yeah,
And,
because you can show that Gunther is in his head and he doesn't need to be there. So I
right.
really hope that I think you need to keep Gunther off TV for this week. So,
Yeah.
or some pre-recorded stuff if you want to do that. So, but I think you need to let Jay have all the shine. Then you maybe heat it back up the week, like the week after, because then we're on the go home shows. So,
Right.
Judgment Day, Greg got a huge win over Penta. That's his second loss, I think it is now, in a tag team match. So, but I still think Penta reigns supreme come, WrestleMania with him and Braun Breaker. Do we throw in Finn in there too, Greg, into the IC title match?
I think so. It's, since it's Finn and Finn's going to make any match better,
Yeah.
I say yes. And the three have, that chemistry between them, each other, that, it's going to be an excellent match. So, as much as I'm not a fan of multi-man
Yeah.
title matches at WrestleMania, I can co-sign on this one.
And it probably kicks out Finn of Judgment Day the night after WrestleMania, doesn't it?
I
If
think
he needs
so.
the L, maybe Penta can get the win on Finn at WrestleMania, pins him, and gets a title. So that kind of does that. We are off to AJ Styles and Logan Paul, Greg, at WrestleMania. Yeah, that happened. Anyways, how about Io Sky and Rhea Ripley for the title? But of course, Greg, we knew there's going to be a double DQ because we got to get to the triple threat.
Right.
So Bianca obviously got involved, threw it all out. She was having troubles with that mic, Greg, because I knew she was getting involved soon when she was trying to throw. And man, I still got to give a shout out. Bianca hand sewed her freaking outfit, Greg. Like, you
Yeah.
have women and men who do all this for WWE, and Bianca's like, "Nah, I got it." Like, that's still like, and the one night I think WrestleMania, she was up to like 2 or 3 in the morning that day, Greg, like sewing her out, and I'm just like, that just that's pretty awesome. Like to see you still kind of have that, like, hey, I got this. So, but anyways, we are going to get the triple threat. Rhea signed her name on the contract, which a la Shawn Michaels back in the day, I think, or we've seen things like that, Greg. So I don't know why people were up in arms about Rhea signing her name on it. I'm like, well, she was going to anyway. She's going to be involved, so why not? And so now we're off and running. Probably night one match, Greg, I would think.
Yeah.
Kind of let that play out there. So yeah, that was kind of raw. Any kind of final thoughts to Io, Rhea? I kind of skipped over Rogan, Paul, and AJ because that happened, and I guess I am
Yeah.
worried that Logan might go for AJ at WrestleMania, Greg, but we'll save that for predictions.
Yeah. Logan's going to have a WrestleMania matches. AJ is a perfect guy to have in there with him because, you need that vet experience and somebody who's been there, done that, and, shined on the brightest stages. So,
And Logan does show up when it does call for it. So, I mean, yeah, I can't fault him too much.
I still don't like the guy and don't want to like the guy. But I had to give the credit when I saw the pulverizer. I had to rewind it a couple times. Like, that's an awesome move.
Yeah.
So, and very rarely we see moves that have, for first time again. So,
yeah.
But that was a new one. When I saw it, I was like, what did he just do? And I had to rewind it back and, okay, yeah, that's a great move. So I had to give him props for that. That move is strong, and that's worthy of a 3 count. So for the purpose of that segment alone, it was worth it to get that move out and show everybody, like, hey, this is one of my new finishers right here. So I'll give him credit for that. But like I said, I'll say the prediction on that for the preview show, and then our triple threat we knew we were getting, just don't like how it got there. It's still going to be awesome, and it'd be a good match to lead off night one, I think.
Yeah.
Mommy's mega over, so is Bianca, and there's a big part of the crowd who's pro Io.
Yeah.
And
I think the crowd will be kind of split through that match.
Yeah. And I'm curious which of Rhea or Bianca are going to go heel, because you can tell both of them are emitting those vibes. So, you can be a babyface with a stronger edge to you. And one is going to be just completely flipping to the dark side. And it feels like that energy is coming off of both of them. So it's like a matter of who's it going to be. So I'm excited to see how, the match plays out.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, I think opening tonight, I think, because I think they all do have the chip on their shoulder, Greg, with knowing, Roman, Punk, and Seth are going to main event night one, Cena and Rhodes night two. So, people have been pushing this should main event, Greg, but I mean, come on. None of these, Rhea's probably on the vert, like that right step below, those guys, Greg. I mean, her stuff sells out every time at, all these autograph stuff, like, quickly. So yeah, but it's still Cody Rhodes and John Cena, like that, that's night two stuff there. And there was no doubt that Punk, Roman, and Rollins were going to main event one of the nights. So
yeah, the biggest you put the 3-person main events on night one.
Bookmark. I think you book in them. I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing to do it. So, some NXT stuff. So Stephanie Vaquer already has to vacate the women's title of North American women's title, Greg. Which, okay, she did defend it, so she does that honor. Mandy Rose is not feeling the double champion though, Greg. A lot of people brought her up, and of course, it's all about the wording where they said Mandy Rose unified the titles, Greg, whereas Stephanie legit had both titles as a double champion. So whatever your verbiage is, it is what it is. Mandy Rose probably is our first double champion, since she did have 2 titles that were unified. But Stephanie still gets the edge because she defended both in one night. But we did see that there was a couple matches. Cesaria obviously defeated Lash Legends, and Kaylani Jordan defeated Roxanne By the way, Roxanne and Bailey, I guess that's not happening now, Greg, which really makes me up, kind of downtrodden for Bailey and for Roxanne, because that should be at WrestleMania. That should have been a match. And I'm not sure why we pivoted from there, because then you have Roxanne lose in NXT. So, yeah. But we got Kaylani Jordan. We have Zarya so far in the ladder match at Stand and Deliver. Early start time for that Stand and Deliver event, which I think we'll have to get into later, or get into that day. But Stephanie has to give it up, and she wants to pick her opponent, Greg. So that should be interesting to see who she picks to defend the women's North America or women's title of NXT. So unpack all of that for me.
Well, first of all, Mandy Rose, if you want to, get off your OnlyFans and get back in the ring, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a keyboard warrior and go, she wasn't a double champion, but, Zarya, or not Zarya, Stephanie got the distinction of being the first person to hold both championships and defend both championships. Yeah. And so she is one of one in that arena, and Mandy didn't do that. So, like you said, she unified the titles. And so there's a difference between the two. So, like, man, if you want to come back, you have to do is, shut down your moneymaker over there and come back and, get in the ring. And I don't think she's ready to do that. So, when you're ready to talk about it, be about it. Come on back, and I'm sure Triple H would be happy to book that match. But in the meantime, keep your mouth shut and keep paying for that subscription.
I mean, she's definitely making a killing off it.
Right. And I figure that the whole point of doing the double champ status is get the title off of Julia since she's hurt, and that it would be passed on to somebody else, because there's too many women for just one champion, and having her defend both titles, week in, week out would be unfair.
Yeah.
So, it kind of reminds me of Orange Cassidy with the Intercontinental title and defending it every single week, and injury after injury after injury, and he's still wrestling. So we don't want that to happen to her. So it makes sense that she relinquishes the North American. And the two qualifiers, great matches. Lash's Zarya was a banger, and it's a good thing that Zarya doesn't wear implants, because that one chop that she took, oh my God! I mean, I'm sure you can hear that. I know. I'm sure you can hear that chop in Tampa, and Zarya would probably be still looking for that boob. So that match was awesome. All about Zarya getting some, stacking some wins, because she still isn't fit for me as far as the ring and the personality and trying to get out of her. She just looks like she's the daughter of Luna, and I kind of expect the daughter of Luna. So, but she's got work to do, and she's on her way up. So we got to give her credit for that. And then Roxanne taking the loss to Kalani, I think nobody saw that coming. Booker T was shocked silent for once in a blue moon. I know. So, it is disappointing that she's not going to get that moment with Bailey at WrestleMania. I mean, even if you put the match on Stand and Deliver, it would be worth it. But last time I saw Bailey, she was doing a vacation video out on a beach somewhere. So I wonder, like you, what happened with that.
I think they're going to do Bailey and Lyra, because Lyra says she wants to prove herself against Bailey. So I think that's happening tomorrow night at Raw for the IC title. So yeah, I mean, I guess maybe we could pick up Roxanne interfering in that, Greg, but it does feel like they pivoted away and didn't and Bailey did beat Roxanne, or she pinned her in Elimination Chamber. So you kind of,
yeah,
I guess that was their Okay, we're done with that. So it just, yeah.
So could be another 3-person match for night one. Just saying.
Or like you said, I mean, Bailey could maybe show up in NXT. I mean, I'm fine with Bailey being at Stand and Deliver. I mean, that's her home, and she
Right.
is NXT to me. So why not give her that big moment there? But no quarter catch crew picked up a win. What about the Dark State group, Greg? People running with, hey, Trick Williams could be involved with them. And Shawn Michaels saw that and said, hey, let's have them destroy Trick Williams. So is there anybody in control of Dark State, or is it just 4 guys that want to prove themselves?
Hey, I'm happy with 4 guys that want to prove themselves.
Yeah.
Some young guns. They did a good job of fleshing out the characters, who they are,
Mm-hmm.
because, aside from Deion Lennox, we have no clue who the other 3 guys are,
Yeah.
because they haven't been gotten any screen time unless they were, faceless security guards to get thrown around by the main roster people.
Yeah. Exactly.
But, actually showing us who they are, what their names are, that's step one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now you're going to give them a match this coming week and show what they can do. And they're just not jumping somebody 4-on-1.
Yep.
And so we're doing a slow build to, showcasing how good these guys are. And it's just another way to bring up new talent and get some attention on them without them having to just start from, ground square one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you're doing 3 guys at once, which gives them more of a push.
Yeah.
And doing this click angle is going to help with that.
Mm-hmm. And Ricky Saints, aka Ricky Starks, is our new North American champion. Man, Greg, what a way to just get him going. I mean, Sean Spears finally kind of got his mojo back, or finally started with the North American Championship, Greg, and this group he has. Ethan Page has shown up in TNA to possibly challenge for the TNA title. But still, Ethan Page looks like he could do a good stuff on the main roster. And now you have Ricky Saints are again pushed to the shove down our throats, as they say back in the day, Greg. Good time to be an ex-AEW star in NXT, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. Definitely think that Ethan Page is ready for to come up.
Yeah.
I expect to see him on Raw after WrestleMania. And Ricky Saints is kind of be like the new Ethan Page.
Mm-hmm.
He's duplicating his playbook, won a title faster than Ethan Page did when he came through. So he's kind of taking Ethan Page's place, even though he's going to be a baby face instead of a heel.
Yeah.
So I'm digging it so far. I still hope for, some, character tweaks and everything, and just not being the same guy he was in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, he gets more screen time, has better matches. So, things are looking up for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a good time I think NXT's rolling, as the chef down there is cooking, as they say. So, and you can tell he really believes in the women. I think he has a good relationship, just like Triple H did back in the day, with his 4 horsewomen and a lot of the women down there. So Shawn Michaels is definitely the best man for that job down there. On to SmackDown. Man, there was a little bit of stuff happening on SmackDown, Greg. So we'll get into the CM Punk stuff first. CM Punk, obviously, was there any doubt who would start off the night, Greg, in Chicago? Got the love, got the hometown crowd, commandeered the TV camera for a bit, just got to share all the love, and informs him of the favor. Paul Heyman comes out there, plays his part well. And let's just get into it. The favor is Paul Heyman will be in the corner of CM Punk, which means Paul Heyman's going to join Seth Rollins, right, Greg?
I know. It's like, what does this mean now? I mean, Paul Heyman knows all of Roman Reigns' secrets. He knows, he has the full scouting report on Roman Reigns and how to beat him.
Mhm.
And this is more a mind game than anything else.
That exactly, and that's what people are kind of joking like, well, that's the favor, and even Roman, playing it off like that's your favor. Now,
Right.
people have also shared a couple clips, Greg, where CM Punk has said Paul Heyman owes me a favor or two. So you never know. They could try to swing something else there, right? Right at the last minute, Greg. But I really like, and then I think people have shared back when Heyman said, "Hey, one of these days I'll be walking you down the ring at WrestleMania in the main event." So what a long-term storytelling,
Yeah.
for Punk and Heyman, and the we didn't get to talk about Punk like being emotional, Greg. Like CM Punk definitely sees Father Time, not even in the rearview mirror, but kind of creeping up behind him, isn't he? Because you can
Yeah.
tell like
Almost in the passenger seat.
all the the fan camera shots of him. He sang Queen Fat Bottom Girls with the England crowd when it went off air, Greg. You could just tell Punk is trying to take in all of it. Like this is a different Punk. I think we're seeing, Punk is like, okay, the writing's on the wall. I better enjoy it while I can. So, and him getting emotional about the main event because I mean that's all he's ever wanted. And that's
Mhm.
that's what he fought. That's why he threw the pipe bomb. That's why he wanted to face The Rock, and Cena at WrestleMania back when that was happening. So, really cool moment for that. And yeah, now we'll get to see. And in Living Color is going to be in Vegas that weekend, Greg. I mean, all the
Ah,
stars are there.
we know what's going to happen there.
Interest to get Punk with Heyman, and then, like I said, to get Punk turned on by Heyman with maybe Rollins sneaking on a win. But anyway, so we'll get to that when we get to it. So, what did you think about all of that happening?
I'm stoked for it. It's going to be an awesome match. They've done the build perfectly and intertwined the stories between all three guys masterfully. Uh, letting Seth and Punk, you know, beef and gripe, and the matches have been awesome, and they've been inconclusive as it is. CM Punk has this one win, Seth has his win,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's from Roman dragging him out of the cage and giving him a win. Uh, that's kind of a Pyrrhic victory. You have to take the beat down to get that win. Uh, but they've meshed all three of these guys in so well. And the week before, having Reigns go, okay, you thank me for getting you in the main event, and
Exactly.
having Punk do this subservient thing. Oh, Tribal Chief, thank you, and
Mm-hmm.
totally knowing this was full of sarcasm, and
Oh yeah.
uh, but Roman is too blind to notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's been great storytelling. It's been a great way to make it all make sense. And don't forget the Roman Seth thing is still real,
Percolating.
and I'm sure Roman is still seething, especially after last year's WrestleMania ending. So um, this is the um, perfect recipe for a 5-star match at
and
WrestleMania. So I've been
and
very
like I
happy with
said,
how they're doing it
Rollins
all.
is kind of being the odd man out. He keeps carrying little things, so I'm like, man, there's something there with Rollins. So, uh, yeah, I would. I'm any one of them could win, and they're
Yeah,
like, there's a case to be made, and you can like get behind it as the person closing the show, standing tall. So we will all be seated. Well, we'll probably be standing because I think, like you said, I think there's going to be some kind of big thing to happen that gets you out of your seat at the
yeah,
end of this
for
because just
sure.
something's percolating under the surface. So. Um, Ray Phoenix, Greg, good debut.
Hmm.
And I mean, he kind of gave the Penta speech at the end. I am WWE. So, but and I like that they're not putting them together right now, Greg. I think we need to see each guy on their own, and
Hmm.
then what in 6 7 months, you could put them together, have them do some tag team run. But right now, I think we need to showcase each one of them because they're so different. Ray Phoenix is more the high flyer.
Mhm.
Penta's got the swag though, and Penta can do the high flying or the ground and pound or the strikes. Like he can do it all, Greg. So when they do get paired together, it should be interesting. But for now, let's let each one of them kind of showcase their own talents and work their own style, and then come together.
Exactly. And like putting them on different brands, I believe. Yep.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
now
Because
he's on SmackDown,
he's on
and you,
SmackDown, Penta's on Raw.
yep. So we keep them separate and let them shine on their own.
Hmm.
And they've already acknowledged the fact that they're brothers. They're not hiding that. And
Yeah.
that's going to give Ray a little of Penta's shine because they know this is Penta's
Penta's
brother,
been, yeah.
and he's going to be just as good or better than Penta is.
Hmm.
And I like that they had Frazier as his opening match because then you're going to know, okay, this is going to be a very fast match. Um, very fast, very technical, and you're going to see some great spots because that's what Ray Phoenix does. His spots are amazing, and he's going to show you moves that you don't see in a regular, even a luchador match.
Hmm.
And he did that. I mean, even when he does the thing in his entrance where he
Oh yeah.
stands on the top and he drops down, puts both his feet on the middle rope, and then pops back up to the top. I mean, how many guys do that? Nobody except for Ray Phoenix. There's special things about him that you don't see out of other guys. So it's perfect to let them shine on their own. And he was already getting a great pop when he came out.
Hmm.
Get a great entrance, and yeah, I'm super stoked. Ray
Sky's the
Phoenix, you
limit.
know how big a fan of his I am,
Hmm.
and I have no doubt that they're both going to be amazing. And Phoenix is going to um, hit the ground running just like his brother. My only reservation about him is being as amazing as he is.
Hmm.
He spent a lot of time on the injury list because he throws his body and
Yeah.
himself into all those moves that make him so special. And I think that's why they didn't get a better run in AEW because he would get injured and then they have a prolonged amount of time off of TV, and that kind of killed their momentum.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that he can do the same thing and stay healthy so he gets a good long run. And like I said, sometime down the road, 7, 8 months, a year, then you can put the Lucha Brothers together and say, we're going to go for the tag team titles, and it's going to be insane.
Yeah. Yep. And hopefully maybe he will work the WWE style, Greg, so maybe he won't have to throw his body around, and maybe at the big moments,
Yeah,
like that's what some people are telling Will Ospreay. Hey, yes, you're awesome and you're doing all this cool stuff, but you might want to save some of it for those moments so your body, can hold together. But hey,
right.
they're young guys. They're going to do what they want to do. So let's get to the how about the tag team title picture real quick. Motor City Machine Guns defeated DIY. I kind of thought this would be no contest because I thought I still think we're going to get to a multi-man match for the tag team titles because I think SmackDown really wants to showcase that. So do you
Mm-hmm.
still think we'll get to that, Greg, or are we just going to do Motor City Machine Guns versus Street Profits and be done with it?
No, for WrestleMania, I think I'm standing on a multi-team ladder
Yeah.
match
TLC. Yeah.
because there's too many teams in that mix over there,
Mhm.
and they've all done their work and deserve that shine.
Yeah.
So, Machine Guns, Pretty Deadly, Street Profits, DIY. I want them
Just let them all
all
mix
in
it
the
up.
ladder match, or even a TLC match, whatever you want to do. But get all those teams in the ring, hang them those belts the truss,
Mhm.
and let them climb and go get it. And that's going to be you need that match. There's
Yeah.
another match that warrants a ladder or even a cage at this point. So
Mhm.
you know they always have that one big spectacle match,
Mhm.
and so this would be a great spot to have that spectacle match.
And the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys, Greg, are pushing to get next year because I think it would be the anniversary of TLC. So it would be kind of cool if maybe you could mix it up with some of the young guys and the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys next year and somehow figure out some way to give a real showcase moment there. But we will worry about that when it's next year. So, what else? Oh, how about the U.S. title picture? So LA Knight defeats Tomatonga. Really, I loved LA Knight just like kind of calling him out and just being like, hey, let's go do the match now. I love those like kind of one camera shot that they do, Greg, where they just get right into it. And then Jacob Fatu, it is going to be his coming out party, Greg, at WrestleMania. Him and Braun just put on a clinic in how to do a big man, last man standing match without, totally killing yourselves. I mean, so Braun deserves a lot of credit because, he's been walking, his body, you could tell his body is not holding up like it should, Greg. He's been off and on. So, but Jacob, man, all gas, no brakes, Greg. that is a shirt I want to purchase next for WrestleMania. But it is going to be Jacob Fatu's coming out party at WrestleMania, I think.
I gotta agree with you. I'm a huge LA Knight fan from all the way back to TNA, and
but it's time.
it is time, and this is not going to do anything to diminish his shine either, because this is a high-profile, high-stakes match on the biggest stage, and he deserves a match on that level, and so he's made it. Just getting to WrestleMania with the championship on his shoulder, and he's a mega star now. He's going to be even a bigger star, because the percentage of guys who go into WrestleMania with a title to defend or winning a title is not a huge percentage. So he's already beat the odds doing that by itself. So I'm super proud of him and how far he's come. But Jacob Fatu, holy cow, this is a dog of a whole different breed here. And, this is his coming out party, like you said. And it's going to be awesome watching that pop for him after he wins.
Especially if you can pull the angle off, maybe have Solo come down to the ring right after and be like, hey, you got to give me the title because you said you're bringing it home. And Jacob just takes out Solo. And boom, you're off and running on Jacob as a face, Jacob away from the bloodline. And, hopefully LA Knight finally done with the bloodline, Greg. Because I think LA Knight's been involved with them for a while too. So I think you could do a lot of good stuff at WrestleMania if you play the cards right with Jacob Fatu. So the other bit of business at WrestleMania, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte. Yeah. Charlotte quit in that promo, Greg. And that, there's a lot going on with her, you could tell. And I really hope mentally she can get right for WrestleMania, because it makes you worry. Like, this should be a really high quality, but if her head's not in it, Greg, this could be a train wreck. And that's kind of what happened Friday night. Charlotte, the crowd got to her, Greg, and she couldn't come out of it. And they always say, hey, you can't quit in a match. But I mean, she really just gave up in that promo and just let Tiffany have her way with it. And, even the line, hey, Kaiser's in my DMs, and people are like, yeah, right. Like, nobody was believing that. So, people are like, well, Tiffany shouldn't have brought up the divorce. Well, Tiffany wasn't going to bring that up if it's not out there. I mean, the realism has been all there. The people have been digging at each other for years, Greg. Like, I have no qualms with that. I just think Charlotte is mentally not there. And that's not good if you're not there in a ring, because mistakes could happen. Something could go wrong. I mean, and you might not give Tiffany the shine that she deserves at WrestleMania. So I really hope, Charlotte can find her way back, because that just looked like mentally she was gone and checked out. And the day before she had kind of that coming out party on I think it was Sherry Shepherd show, really opening up about things. But she needs to find her way back, because it just feels like she's not there mentally, Greg. And, both parties probably deserve a little bit of, blame for it, because, Tiffany just went at it. Tiffany wasn't holding back. So, but it was a train wreck, and it does give the interest. It put some of the fire in the match, Greg. But I also think it's like, oh man, like Charlotte just looks like there's something not, she's kind of she's pretty not head case, but obviously she could be in her head a lot, Craig. I think that's just the way she's. I mean, she's been very candid about that. So, but man, you got to get right if you want to be ready for WrestleMania. So, and I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, same here. Um, you know, leading up to this, Charlotte had gotten the better of
Yeah.
the in-ring, the promos, everything from the time she came back and started with her "Who Do I Choose" bit.
Yeah.
And I was feeling this was a good reply to the sit down that they had, where she pretty much dominated conversation, and Tiffany didn't have much to say.
Yeah.
And this was the flip side of it, where now it's live in front of everybody, and now Tiffany's going to get her time, pun partially intended. And this was one of the cringiest things I've seen in a while in wrestling in general. I was enjoying the fact she was getting the Dominic Mysterio treatment with the massive boos. And Charlotte is the girl you don't want to be stuck in the ring with on a promo, because she will kill you. And that's what I was expecting. She's shown before that she has no problem with being booed. She has no problem with coming back and having those perfect replies for the boos. And the longer I watched her, and you can see she looked like she was forgetting her lines or forgetting what to say, and
just never recovered.
Right. And even going back to the corner and just sitting there for a minute, like, okay, there's the pro move right there. Let them wear themselves out and then come back and get it in. And she didn't even do that. I mean, once she came out, she still didn't know what to do. And that started to worry me right there, because that's when the promos started to go off the track. And Tiffany was getting her best lines in about her crying on that talk show, and about Ric Flair, and truly being her father's daughter, and coming out with the divorce line and exposing that. Like I said, we already knew it. It's already out there. It's no secret.
Yeah.
But it sounded like two high school girls fighting, not like a real promo that's supposed to get us more invested for WrestleMania. And the longer it went, the harder it was to listen to. And they can still redeem themselves by having a banger match at WrestleMania. But that did worry me about Charlotte, because she is the ultimate professional. Say what you want to about her, but in the ring and on the mic, she's solid. And this was the first time I've seen. And when she wasn't, she was bad, really, really bad. So that concerns me about her. And being a pro's pro, I think she can recover and get right for WrestleMania. But it's like you said, this could all go wrong, on the biggest stage, if she can't get her head in the right place. So that was hard to watch. And I think you posted the thing about they've already edited part of
they took out
that
the line
promo
about
out.
the divorce. So I think they've kind of just shortened it to the end of it. And they I don't even think they have the Kaiser line in there anymore. I think they just have where Tiffany just kind of gets her at the end, Greg, and that seems to be the edited version. Just because, like you said, there was just so much there that, I mean, honestly, it's not the first. I mean, like Charlotte and Becky, remember where she kind of threw the title at her? So it's Charlotte's got to be careful, because she already has a reputation anyway, Greg.
Right.
And now this week did not help things. So, and like you said, I always consider a consummate professional and felt like she could rise above things, but man, it did not seem like she did there. So, and even the line
No.
like Chicago, what do you want me to say? Like, like okay, like
Right.
that did not help. Like that just being into them. So, somebody did share when Stephanie McMahon was like, "Hey, go for 2 minutes and 16 seconds. You go longer than Punk at UFC," and that got the crowd to shut up real quick. So
Yeah.
maybe she needs to talk to Stephanie and ask for some guidance on that. Because like I said, Charlotte's always been she wears everything on her sleeve. You could tell that.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. It's just, when you're in the biggest stage in Chicago, of all places, Greg,
Right.
you gotta rise above whatever they're giving you. So, which is what Kevin Owens did, as he had to, give his full spiel. I'm seeing maybe 2 to 5 years, Greg.
Whoa.
So, yeah, you feel bad. I mean, because Kevin and Randy, that would have been a banger. And then just to think Kevin Owens is putting his body on the line in the unsanctioned match, and then what was it, the no holds bar, whatever it was at Royal Rumble, Greg. I mean, he took some bad
Yeah.
shots. So he's probably been, nobody's Teflon, as they say, Greg. And now, hopefully with modern science and all this good stuff, maybe it'll be on the end of 2 years. Maybe it'll be less. Ivar came back or whichever one came back pretty quickly from neck surgery. Now I don't know what kind of neck surgery it was, Greg. So, maybe it might be less than 2 years. But yeah, just seeing that at first, your eyes got wide, and just to hear that, like I can only imagine Kevin Owens' reaction. Hearing that kind of timeline, if that's what they told him in the beginning, Greg.
Yeah.
And he was pretty upset because I guess it kind of got leaked. I did not see it get leaked out, but apparently it was kind of leaked out that he was going to bow out of the match and say all this, but it still kind of caught me off guard because you kept thinking, okay, this could be a Mark Henry moment, and Orton just takes him out anyway, and it's good to go. But the fact
Mhm.
that Orton walked right by him, I was like, oh crap. And Orton does the Nick Aldis though. And Greg, is it time? Nick Aldis to lace up the boots. Some people have called for Aleister Black to be the surprise. Orton definitely needs a match at WrestleMania, is what we're saying, Greg.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm kind of in the camp that, technically Orton did write the check for what, 100,000 for the second time. And I don't know, you could play the fact that like Nick Aldis, like, F that. I'm just gonna take care of you myself. And what better way to give Nick Aldis maybe his one and only match at WrestleMania, Greg, against Randy Orton?
Mhm.
I mean, it's kind of right there. It's almost like a happy accident, but if Aleister Black is the guy, that's fine. I just don't think it will have the meaning that people think it will, Greg, because Aleister Black's probably going to lose. Like Nick Aldis could lose to Randy Orton
Mhm.
at WrestleMania, and it can be fine. But
Yeah.
I don't think I want Aleister Black in his first time back losing at WrestleMania to Randy Orton.
Yeah. I agree 1,000%. First of all, my heart is broken for Kevin Owens because I've shouted out his work over the last year and a half. Um, Everything he's done has been awesome. When he flipped the heel, and his reasoning was perfect. I'm in the Kevin is right fan club.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everything he was doing was just money,
Yeah.
and it's ironic that the guy who's been putting people out with power drivers is the one that's going to be out with the neck injury. Um, he is just amazing at being the everyman.
Mm-hmm.
The guy you walk out on your block and look at the guy who's mowing the lawn next door, and that could be KO.
Yeah.
He's not ripped. He's not, 6'5" and perfectly chiseled. He's one of us. He's got little beer bellies.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the crew cut. He could be anybody in the grocery store.
Yeah.
That's part of what rings true about him that we relate to. And when he comes out and he shouts home his purpose and his motivation, we can follow that. We can get it, and we can fact check everything he's saying. And whether we feel he was right or wrong about it, we understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's been so great about him. Everything's done with Sammy, with Randy, with Cody, with everybody has been A+ work. And he deserved his WrestleMania moment in a big match with Orton. So my heart is broken for him that he's not going to get that moment now. But like you said, he's been throwing his body to the wind with all these promos and all these matches, these pretty much death matches. So my fingers are crossed for him that we will see him again. Neck injuries are no joke. We've seen guys that don't recover from neck injuries. We've had good examples of that working out with Edge and Saraya, Dana Bryan coming back, but that's after long absences. So I'm hoping it's, like you said, on that 2-year end instead of the 5-year end. But it is unfortunate to see that storyline doesn't get played out with him and Randy. But they can pick that up at any time. Just roll the footage and you can get right back to it. But shout out KO, get well soon, get better. And I was hoping this was just an angle, but when you saw Nick Aldis in the ring, given the prologue for Kevin Owens coming out, you're like, oh, this sounds like this is going to be a serious deal. And it's not an angle or a joke, that this is real. So
And Orton fighting
in a
back
major way.
Orton fought back. I mean, he had his own injuries where he thought he might be career done. And to think Sami Zayn's going to miss WrestleMania. I mean, here we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the highlight, 2 years ago. And now they're both going to miss WrestleMania this year. So kind of sad. But what do we think, Greg? Where do you want to go with Orton for WrestleMania?
I like the Nick Aldis angle. Him. That's not the first time he's been assaulted by Randy, and going, okay, enough is enough. And dude fills out that suit, and I'm sure that if he took that suit off, he's still going to be as ripped and chiseled as he was when he was, wrestling every day. And as WWE, the universe doesn't, if you're not following TNA, you don't know what he looks like under that suit. And when he takes it off and he's all jacked, people are going to be like, oh, okay, I see it. And, he fills out that suit, great. But it's another thing to take it off and see that, his muscles have muscles, and he does. And it shows that there's no sign that that's not the case now.
Yeah.
And he's a great wrestler. I remember him wrestling as Magnus in TNA and doing great work. So I'd be excited to see him wrestle again. And it's the perfect time, like I said, happy accident kind of thing, to give him his WrestleMania moment in a match instead of just as a GM, and give him a good, strong 10, 12 minutes with Randy Orton. So I'm all about it. Let's do that. I don't want to see Aleister Black come back and take an L, like you said, somebody Aleister Black guy, and we can get him another spot in the show. But him and Nick Aldis, sign me up.
I really hope they pivot somewhere that makes, that really gives Orton a good WrestleMania moment, gives whoever else it. So we shall see. All right. Well, that was that was SmackDown in a nutshell, Greg. There was a lot to unpack there. Chicago always gives us a good time, Greg. So that was no doubt there. Let's get into some AEW Dynasty talk. So we got some Owen Hart matches, Greg. We have Will Ospreay against the new kid on the block, Kevin Knight. I'm going all Will Ospreay to move on. I kind of think Ospreay might go all the way, Greg, at least in the finals, and then we'll see what happens. But Ospreay makes a lot of sense to win this first match. Which direction are you going, Greg?
Yeah, I'm going with Ospreay because we've seen one match out of Kevin Knight. I guess two.
Already signed.
He's had a collision match. Yeah. So, he's all elite, but he's not going to beat Ospreay. So I can't go off one match sample size.
And we got Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Are we getting Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay in the finals, Greg?
It would be all right with me. I mean, we're just off the
steel cage.
Over the revolution that we just had, the steel cage. So I don't know if it's too soon, but if they did that, I'd be all for it.
Mm-hmm. What about Julia Hart and Mercedes Moné? Julia get the upset? Probably not.
No. There's something bigger cooking. I can feel it.
Yeah. So, Bandito versus Chris Jericho, ROH title on the line, mask on the line. Bandito for the win, Greg. For
Agreed.
one, to get Jericho off the title, and two, it's a mask versus title. We already saw him demask, his brother.
Right.
What was I can't remember the guy's
name.
Gravity. So surely we're not going to have them both lose their mask. So there's that in. Those are kind of I've kind of stacked these matches together. What about FTR, rated FTR versus the Trios champion? If we didn't know they still had it, Greg. We got emo boy Will Yuta. His hair gets longer every week, I feel like, Greg. He's starting to look like the dog in Looney Tunes where he has like the dog and you got to blow it to lift it up. But this is going to be FTR turning on Edge, turning on Cope in the end, Greg. And the Bloodline or the BCC keep rolling, right?
I agree that it's not that the BCC wins; it's that FTR loses.
Yeah.
Edge is probably going to spear the other one that he was cool with,
and then that gets him to
turns them both.
Yeah. So there's a lot of heel. You already saw Dax not want to shake Cope's hand 2 weeks ago after the death match. The spike heard around the world in the back, Greg. And now you had them on the same page, obviously, after last night. But there's too much there to turn FTR and let them roll as heels. So what about Adam Cole and Daniel Garcia? I'm going to pull the upset with Adam Cole getting the title, Greg. I think it's time for Adam Cole to get something. He obviously looks healthy. He looks ready to go. Daniel Garcia, I don't think will drop too much because of an L. But I think Adam Cole as champion is what Adam Cole needs. So I'm going to go with Adam Cole to get the title. Maybe not an upset, but, he's not the champion. So I think it would be a little bit of an upset over Daniel Garcia. I think a banger of a match, too. I really think, they might steal the show. I think they both want to prove something great. So which direction would you like to go?
Yeah, I agree. Adam Cole excels in show-stopping type of matches. Pun intended, guys. he's like Shawn Michaels light.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Garcia, he's had the title for a while.
Yeah.
And going to pass the shine over to Adam Cole. Like I said, this could be the match of the night right here. Mm-hmm. So I expect the banger and a new champion.
New champion, okay. Big Bill and Brian Keith lose. Obviously, I don't think there's any doubt that the Hurt business keep rolling, Greg. The Hurt Syndicate. Does MJF maybe play a part in this match? Because we don't see him scheduled for anything tonight.
Yeah, I may see him make an appearance. I don't know if he gets involved in the match, though.
Maybe he could help them retain the titles, and that gets them on the good side of the Hurt Dynasty. The Hurt, Syndicate. So, what about this one? Ricochet, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kenny Omega. Do we need a stopwatch for this match, Greg, to see how quickly guys are flying across the ring? Because man, I feel like Omega's going to have to maybe need some oxygen to keep up with them, but Omega can hold his own at times. So I think it's Kenny for the win. I still think we're heading towards the unification match at Double or Nothing, or soon, Greg, for Omega and Okada, and then that's kind of unifies those titles. But I really think a banger of a match here. All three guys wanted to prove themselves as well. So
Yeah, I agree. We're going to need a stopwatch. We're going to need slow motion. We're going to need everything because this match is going to be not like watching watching atoms through a microscope or something. Just everything pew 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 everywhere. It's hard to bet against Kenny, but I really want Ricochet to win.
Yeah. Okay.
With 3 men in there, you can have him pinning Speedball and not avoid having to pin Kenny, and then Kenny's getting the rematch. But Ricochet's just been too good, too awesome with his new character, really coming out of his shell.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see him win the title, and they get to come out every week and strut and talk his smack, and then have the babyface have to chase him and deal with all his nefarious ways to get the title off of him. So it could be a short reign, but get him a title, give him some reward for everything he's done, the effort. So I'm going to go ahead and endorse Ricochet in this match by hook or by crook.
And freshly married, him and Samantha finally tied the knot last weekend or last week.
Shout out.
So hey,
hottest girl in the ring,
maybe we could have a little Samantha bomb show up, and maybe she helps Ricochet win. I mean, what way to get heel heat to bring out your hot wife, right? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be too angry. I'm not going to be upset if Ricochet does win it, because I do agree with you. He's due for something. So, and I mean, Speedball's the new toy, so we'll have to see if he still gets the fancy toy look after a couple of these matches, Greg. Because guys tend to get this shine and then they go away quickly. So
yeah,
hopefully that's not the end of it for Speedball there. And then finally we have our title matches. We got the Megasaurus, Megan Bayne versus Timeless Tony Storm. Is it time to crown a new champion, Greg, in Megan Bayne?
No. Tony just won the title back. So unless he's going to go after Charlotte Flair's record,
they just set a new AW record.
Yeah. She's already set the record being a 4-time champion.
4-time, yep.
It's way too soon for her to lose. Yeah. So she's going to find a way to beat Megan Bayne. But, shout out to Megan Bayne. Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy this match, but there's
hopefully
no way she wins.
Hey, you got your title match now. We're going to shift you back down to, the bottom of the card, because Megan Bayne definitely looks like you do have the Penelope Ford, kind of X factor out there, Greg. Maybe she could help Megan, but I think this is all Tony time. I just don't see Tony Storm losing. But hey, if they pull the trigger on Megan Bayne and make her a solid heel,
I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, maybe a case to be made for both of them. But in this case of the women or the men's championship, Greg, give it to Swerve. He won it last year at Dynasty. I think you make Swerve have this his pay-per-view, kind of give him a shine there. And my feelings about John Moxley. So I think this should be all Swerve's time, hard-hitting match, and let Swerve fulfill his Dynasty. In the words of Greg, pun fully intended.
This was hard for me because I wonder if this is the end game as far as the whole Death Riders story, because
I don't think they know the end game.
And that's the problem. It's
That's
like
what's
this
scary.
whole thing is been for nothing.
Yeah.
I've been riding with it to see how it goes,
Yeah.
where it ends, and um, they haven't done a good job of fleshing it out. Yes, we've established who the Death Riders are, what they do, what their ways are, but have there been um, anybody rise up to face them? You know, a team of heroes to face them and strike them down? No.
Hmm.
Does anybody really give them any competition? No.
Hmm.
Um, so there's that was a great. This whole Death Riders angle is strong, incomplete. So I
Yeah.
won't give it an F, but it's a
I mean, I
strong,
guess that's why I'm
incomplete.
all for Swerve because I'm like, I just want to pull the band-aid off, kill it, euthanize it, and just move on. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and this may just be a Tony Khan special where we start a good idea and it doesn't end.
yeah,
Um, so as far as this match goes, I want Swerve to win. I'm going to make that my official prediction that Swerve wins because I don't see where the um, Death Rider's story goes.
yeah.
And Moxley's been getting the best of Swerve. So it looks like that time is the right guy. I didn't want Cope doing it, didn't want
And he took out Willow, right?
Christian doing
Too.
it,
So
and he took out Willow. Yeah,
because Swerve tried to take out Marina. So, and I think all of them getting involved and Swerve just going through all of them and then getting the time. I think that ends it. I mean,
yeah,
not with a bang, but with a flutter, as they say, Greg, or what. Um, so yeah, hopefully they can kind of pick things back up, with Swerve as champion because I think that's where you need to go. So, um, yeah. So that's AEW's Dynasty. Any kind of closing thoughts for the good of the matter, Greg? And our last call. Miss anything from the week that might have caught your eye?
um, well, I'll give it one last note on the title match for AEW.
Yeah.
Um, I get the idea of holding the title hostage in the briefcase and everything, but there is something to be said for having that title and showcasing it and showing the world I'm the man. Because if you took a passive wrestling fan
Mhm.
and showed him AEW and it's like who's the champion?
They not
Well,
know.
that guy's a champion. Well, where's the belt?
Mhm.
You're kind of losing part of your audience by not having that title shown
Yeah.
every week, uh, even if it's in a promo, having that big, beautiful title on your shoulder to show that you're the guy.
Mhm.
I get the initial idea, but I think it's hurting the product by not having it shown uh, the way it should be.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it's been enough time to forget what the title looks like at this point. So, um, that's another reason I think it'd be a great idea to
yeah.
give it the Swerve so we can bring that back.
Well, and like last
Um,
night, they had Swerve at the Philadelphia 76ers game, Greg, and not a lot of the crowd knew him. Like there was a little smattering of claps because somebody shared like a video in the arena. And so, like, even if he, has the title, even if you don't know him, you might be like, oh, wow, that guy's a title holder. Like
yeah,
a basketball fan might be like, oh, that guy must be big. But the fact that, you had Swerve there last night, Greg, people, the announcers like, AEW superstar, but if you would have been like AEW champion, that holds a little more weight. So
yeah,
hopefully they, and like I said, I know it's almost like taking old Yar to the back and just like into the angle with a whimper, but it just like you said, where's the end game? Because I think we've already passed it.
agreed. And even on the last UFC um, big event that they had, I think a week or two ago,
Yeah.
they had Stephanie Vicaire
Hmm.
sitting cage side with
Okay.
her championship on.
Yep.
And so
And
even
that says
so,
something.
Yeah, that says something. That shows you something. That are showing all these UFC legends, and then there's Stephanie Becerra. She's got two, a shot. That's when she's still double champion, I think,
Mhm.
and she's got two shiny belts on. So we know she's somebody. Check her out. She had her ring gear or ring makeup on,
Mhm.
and so she looked like she does in the WWE ring, and so on the UFC broadcast, they're giving her the spotlight and go, this person is special.
Mhm.
And she's wearing two titles, so you can see she's special. And you may want to tune in and see what she does.
Mhm.
So that's more emphasis to that point right there. Um, so, and there's another big UFC coming up. So excited for that next week. Um, Shout out to Soraya.
Mhm.
I've mentioned her once already, but
New
it
book
came out
out.
that she is officially a free agent. Um, Hopefully, there's no non-compete because that would be a great surprise
Yeah.
to add to the WWE roster.
Mhm.
Um, bring Paige back. She's ready. She can wrestle. She's good. She's had about 2 years worth of mat work since her injury, and she's. I think she would go right back into her previous spot and be amazing.
Mhm.
Um, just that pop on her return would be just like her AEW pop, maybe even better.
Mhm.
Bring out the old Page music, and this would be the next best thing to AJ Lee coming back, I think, because I think everybody's still going to remember who Page is.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, after meeting her and getting my moment with her to talk to her and give her flowers, as they
Mhm.
say, she was super cool and was engaging, not just, yeah, okay, thanks, see
Mhm.
ya.
Yeah. Exactly.
But she actually stood there and she engaged
Mhm.
and participated in the conversation and was very grateful.
Yeah.
So I want to see great things for her, and I want to see her back in the WWE ring, and she would be amazing added into the roster on Raw or SmackDown.
Mhm.
So I'm rooting for her. I want to see her back and want the return of Paige. And aside from that, you know, my Chargers signed Trey Lance
Okay.
as a free agent for a year. Give him a shot at the roster against Taylor Heinicke for the backup
Mhm.
quarterback spot.
Mhm.
So I just have a reason to watch the preseason games now because
Yeah.
we've had horrible backup quarterbacks for Justin Herbert.
Mhm.
But now it's going to be interesting to watch, see how Trey Lance can do, and see if he can get that number two spot. And yep, draft's coming up very soon. I'm all about free agency now that my sons are out of the mix,
Mhm.
and some good stuff coming. So
The producer in my ear, Greg. We left off something that happened big on SmackDown. Naomi,
ah,
Jade, only the second match ever at WrestleMania for the women that won't be featuring a title. There was a bra and
wow,
panties match way back in the day, or some sort of tuxedo singles match between Tori Wilson and Candice Michelle. But now we have a legit
yeah,
wrestling non-stipulation match. I feel like an idiot because that's history making, herstory making, as they say, Greg.
uh-huh.
And your idea of Bianca and Jade, though, I don't know why we didn't pull that trigger. Especially since we didn't pull Bianca and Rhea. But Naomi and Jade getting to make history. Congrats to them. And
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I think that's kind of a toss up. I don't know which way. I think you can really make a case for Naomi to get the win if you really want to solidify her heel turn. But then you
Hmm.
have Jade getting the win because it's Jade, and it's WrestleMania and singles match and all this. So congrats to those two women. Naomi's really trying to make this Owen Hart, Owen Hart light. Her caution tape gear now, Greg. She's trying to make this work. So I was thinking back to our SmackDown. I was like, looking back in my brain, I'm like, oh yeah, Naomi defeated BFAB. And credit to BFAB. I really think she's trying to she's trying to do everything she can, Greg,
Mm-hmm.
to get herself over. And, that's kind of like Zelina Vega too. Like Zelina tries to do it. So,
Yeah.
Hey, what do they say? Squeaky wheel gets the gets the movement. So, those two women, I got to give a lot of credit for pushing through. Zelina still comes out to crickets. BFAB doesn't have much more, Greg. I don't there might be a couple crickets cheering her, but they're doing all they can. I mean, I see BFAB
Mm-hmm.
with Natalia and all of her dungeon training. So, you always see BFAB there training and whatnot. Also, I saw little Brody Jr. Greg in pictures
Oh,
now
really?
training at Stu Hart, which is crazy to think. And we
Negative
also
one.
have -1. We also have Izzy, Bailey's biggest fan, who's 18 and training. And man, it is just what a circle of life to think like, like we said, what we could have the Bella twins kids, we could have the Mrs. kids, you could have Brian Danielson's kids. I mean, it is going to be a weird. Ahala has two boys. I'm sure, and they work on a farm, Greg. So they're rough and tumble. Who's to
Yeah.
say they don't get hit the wrestling bug? So wrestling is okay for the next 20 to 30 years. Who's
Yeah.
to say Shane McMahon's son, Declan, gives up on the football dream, Greg, and goes and, the Triple H's daughters. So it is funny to think
3
about
daughters.
kids. Yeah, 3 daughters. And then Shane has 3 sons. So like we joked, yeah, could have a nice intergender match there down the road. But by the way, shout out to Stephanie Places. I saw the CM Punk special, and now I think we have the Cody Rhodes run dropping. It's available on ESPN Plus, and then if you have ESPN, you can watch it on Hulu or Disney Plus. And I caught on one of them, so really good, nice little just 30-minute feel good episode, Greg. That nice little thing to watch there. But congrats to Naomi and Jade for the singles wrestling match. And maybe that's why we didn't get Bailey and Roxanne, because they're like, we'll just do one. we'll give the shine to that one. But
Deservedly so.
you could have done 2 Hispanic women, because Bailey and Roxanne, but it is what it is. So but I also didn't want to let BFAB fall by the wayside, because she's doing promos on Twitter. She's definitely putting them to work. She's showing that, hey, Hit Row was a thing, but now it's time for her to really shine. So, but yeah, Jade is Jade, and Naomi's definitely Naomi. I'm glad they're both going to get their moment at WrestleMania. So that is my last call.
I'm glad that BFAB and Naomi, or BFAB, is doing her work, because she's got the look, and
there's stuff there.
If you could put the rest with it, the wrestling and the because there's still some spotty stuff in her matches. But as long as she's working on it and she's really putting in the effort. I mean, there's been other girls who really haven't put in the effort and disappeared. I can still stand by her that, one day she becomes a big player. Mm-hmm. So I hope she does, because she has that look like she could be awesome if she really tried. And then it makes sense that Jade and Naomi would take place with Bailey and Roxanne, because you have the attack to play out, and the blood feud to play out, which is going to be stronger than just who's better, Roxanne or Bailey. So
you have the blood feud to it. So but all right, well, that is it. We're 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. I cannot wait to predict that. Hopefully we can get Sean on here, maybe a couple other people if we can, make it a big old day. Like I said, we got Stand and Deliver early that morning, so we might have to figure out some way to do Friday night-ish, maybe for night 1, and then some night 2 stuff the next day, or we'll figure it out. But we will keep you, of course, in touch. Thank you for Big Ben for being here for a minute. We'll definitely let him know where we're at and when we're going live. So thank you, as always, for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel, and we will be back at it next week.
Peace.